What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Wager Alarm live stream, soon to be the Pickswise live stream. Count it down right after the holiday, actually. So this is our swan song here for Wager Alarm. We'll say goodnight, and we'll wake up the next week as Pickswise, which is going to be a definite treat for all of us and all of you out there. I'm Howard Bender. With me, of course, Craig Mish, and here we go. Craig, happy Thanksgiving, my friend.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, Howard, and the entire Wager Alarm, Fantasy Alarm, and now Pickswise family. For those of you who have watched our live streams through the years, of course, we really appreciate the support. Very much enjoy doing these with you, Howard, as we now have. I think this is our third or fourth year. I can't even keep track, but always so much fun to do this. It is, I always say this is one of my favorite things to do, and I do a lot of stuff. But I love coming on doing these with you because we have such a good time doing it. Very rare in this industry to get two people to do something together who really like each other, like who really are friends that are just, talking. And so such a rare thing that you and I have known each other now for a long time and, linked up doing these. And so happy Thanksgiving, certainly to you. I'm having family over tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Also want to thank John and Pemba. I know he is here tonight as well, working the night before Thanksgiving. So thank you, John, for doing the stream. And by the way, congrats on a great week last week.
Congratulations on a great week for you last week too. We went 6-1 in the Golden Nugget, right? Killed it, right?
Killed it.
4-1 on our college picks, 2-0 on our NFL, and then we went 4-1 in the Super Contest. I forgot about, it's like it's so funny with the holiday and everything like that. I forgot about it. I even got like a DM from a woman who's been following me for years, who was just like, you know what? I caught your live stream the other day. She always does fantasy. And she's like, I caught your live stream the other day. You guys sounded so good and confident with your picks that I put money on it. And she was like, I just threw, like $2 on there and I did a parlay. And she's like, the next thing I know, I turned it into $50. I was like, boom. There you go.
Yeah, we did good. I mean, overall, we've had better seasons. I think that's fair to say, but we're still a long way away from it being over. And all you need is a few 4-1, 5-2 weeks in these contests to get right back on track. And especially the last 2 weeks, if you look at our percentage, we're pushing 70% for the last 2 weeks. So it's kind of where we need to be. And of course, this week in particular is a little bit different. We're never here on Wednesday night. It's usually Tuesday night and Friday night. But keeping with tradition and because of the success that we have had, Howard and I have already turned in our picks for the week prior to Thanksgiving because we would like to give out picks for tomorrow. And so I thought that we would be here and we would at least have 2 picks, maybe 3 for all Thanksgiving Day games. But these games are tough, man. Like, these are not that easy. So looking forward to going over those with you. Of course, we have our college picks in for the week as well. And by the way, the college football regular season ends this week. Next week, we have the championship games being played, and that will determine who gets into the college football playoff. And then we got the NFL and the Army-Navy game. That's coming up too.
Oh, the Army-Navy game. That's always a tough one for us because the academies always treat us well.
They do.
So it always hurts to go against one of them when we make those picks. But all right, and don't forget our College Bowl preview.
Yes, I have not forgotten.
I told the folks over at Pickswise what we like to do and the eyes just got all wide. They're like every game. I said every game. We do it in a timely fashion.
We'll know let's see. So 2 weeks from today, all of the bowl games will have been selected and all the games will be live against the spread. So, and then last year, I don't think, what was interesting is last year, because the games were pushed back, we had like no turnaround. It was like, but this year, I think we do like have a week to turn around a stream that we can do.
Yeah.
So we'll have that for you. And yeah, really good week last week in terms of the picks. I don't know if you want to go over them real quick or just jump into this week. It's up to you.
Let's just jump into this
Okay.
week. I don't want to. I actually, to be honest with you, I don't even remember what
No,
they
we just
were.
keep going against FIU. That's been the rule.
We just keep going against FIU. Although we're not going against FIU to this week.
They're not
Let's
playing.
start. I know, right? Let's start with our college picks here. We'll talk about what we're doing for the Golden Nugget and go from there. We're going to start it off with a big favorite here, and that's Utah State at New Mexico. Which, when I first saw you were like, Utah State, I was like, ooh, okay. Didn't Utah State just get thumped by Wyoming last week? And then I realized that they were playing New Mexico, and I was like, all right, I feel a little better now.
Yeah, if you remember, we backed New Mexico against a winless UNLV team, and UNLV won that game against New Mexico in that one. So in the end, Florida International University, hate to say it, the team that's 15 minutes away from me, is probably the worst team in all of college football this year. But if there is a close second, once again, it is New Mexico this season. So Utah State can still play for the conference title. They're going to have to win this game clearly. New Mexico has been outscored 71-7 the last 2 weeks. That number is accurate. And they have the worst record against the spread in all of college football at 1 win and 10 losses against the spread. Now, I watched the Wyoming-Utah State game last week, and so I feel like I see what's going on with both of these two teams. And the game was very close at the half, and then Wyoming pulled away late. So I'm very confident in Utah State. I think that they get the ship righted this week. Also, the last 4 times they have played, Utah State and New Mexico, Utah State has covered all 4 times. So lay the 15.5, is it, or just 15 points in this game?
I think it's just 15.
Okay, fine.
It might be 15.5.
Good enough. Obviously, if you're playing online and it gives you the ability to buy a point down to 14, you can do that. On a favorite, I would never buy a huge underdog point. But look, I mean, 14 is a key number in college. But, I'm confident enough to say to play it regardless. But if this number goes down to 14.5 and then somewhere where you're allowed to buy points at minus 120, I'd recommend that. But, yeah, Utah State minus the points. Pick one.
All right. Next game. Well, you talked up Wyoming. So let's take a look at Wyoming here. Minus 10.5. Take it on Hawaii, which, if the game were in Hawaii, I would think twice about it, especially with this kind of a point spread. But Hawaii on the road, it's just they're not good. They're like 1-5, 1-6 against the spread on the road right now. So, I mean, it makes sense, especially with what we saw out of Wyoming against Utah State last week.
Yeah, and look, sometimes you can fade teams that are not going to bowl games. Sometimes it's dangerous because they're still playing for something. But the same story for the Rainbows pretty much every year in college football, where they play very well at home and they play very poorly on the road. I don't know about when teams go there as far as distractions are concerned, because it is college. I'm not really sure that going to Hawaii is a distraction or not. You've really never heard coaches say that to the contrary, just more of the travel, I think. But in general, 1-5 this season on the road for Hawaii, and 1-7 against the spread their last 8 games away from the island. So Wyoming can't win the conference, but they got a really good shot to play in a nice bowl game if they can win their 7th game of the season. They scored the most points, I think, of any team in college football in the second half last week against Utah State. Boy, I love this at minus 10. We're going to have to lay a hook here at 10.5, but we'll still take Wyoming minus the points. By the way, end of season in games like this, in college in particular, no trepidation whatsoever about laying big numbers. Teams have just quit at this time of the season. So that's, 2 teams that I don't think Hawaii's quit necessarily, but it's not. I don't have the same concerns as I have in week 5 that I do in week 13 of college.
Makes sense. Definitely makes sense. All right, so those are our first 2. Third pick, here you go. In all the time that we've done this together, we have not once taken your team. We have never once taken the University of Florida. We have the Gators. I see the helmet right behind you there. It's in full view. And here it goes. Take a little stroll down Narrative Street with Howard and Craig. And what happened? Florida fired their coach. So what do? We go right to them for the following week to either win outright or cover the spread. And going up against Florida State, a surprisingly surging Florida State. I think they've won like 2 out of their last 4 or 5.
Yeah, a little better.
That's actually pretty good for Florida State right now.
Yeah.
But we're taking the Gators in a vicious rivalry game here, and we're laying 3 and feeling good about it.
Yeah, you texted me last week that yeah, I guess we're taking the Gators because they fired Dan Mullen. I mean, some people that it caught them by surprise. They've had a really tough year, and his record against top 25 teams has been subpar as well. So so the thing with Florida here is, they fired their defensive coordinator also 2 weeks ago, so they're just kind of cleaning house here. And I know Bob Stoops said today that he's not going to coach Florida. He used to be there. Line is 2.5. It was 3. Florida State's win over Miami last week was huge. And so, look, it's rivalry back-to-back. It is, Howard, it is really hard to get up for those kind of games in college. And you can make the case the games against Miami and the games against Florida are equal in terms of rivalry. Now, for me, it's always been Florida and Florida State, but the problem is these two teams haven't been good at the same time in a long time. So their interim coach is going to be Greg Knox for this week, and I don't know what kind of future that he'll have. I would assume that this is just going to be a one and done because they're not going to play in a bowl game, if I'm not mistaken. If they win, I think they can. They may decline. I'm not really sure where Florida is. Florida State, of course, is not. Anthony Richardson, who I will remind you is going to be the first pick in the NFL draft in 2 years, for sure. He is their young quarterback who is basically, they call him Cam Newton. I mean, they think he's Cam Newton in college. And Emory Jones, who started the season for Florida, actually was pretty good, all things considered, even with Richardson sort of staring over his shoulder. But Knox, of course, the school is like, we want to see Richardson play. He's going to be our quarterback next year, so he's going to play in this game. They didn't play this game last year because of COVID. They just played in the Southeastern Conference games. So last time they played in 2019, Florida won the game 40-17. That was with Dan Mullen. 2018, 41-14. Florida won that game. So look, this game will probably be closer just because the Gators defense isn't very good. But look, Florida State, it wasn't a miracle win over Miami, but they had to come all the way down, and I believe they converted like a 4th and 20 in order to go down and win that game last week. So we'll take Florida. This is a very small number, -2.5. They should be able to win this.
Do you want to do like a little Gator crocodile thing?
There you go.
There you go. You feel good? there it is.
There you go.
So here we go. We're only taking 4 college this week.
Yeah.
We took 5 for the last 2 weeks, and it worked beautifully for us. So why not change the process? Makes no sense, but you know, it's right. We sat there on Tuesday saying we should just take all the underdogs, and then what do? We take all the favorites. Yeah. Nevertheless, we're only going to take 4. It is the tail end of the college football season and whatnot, but we're going to play with the narrative once again here. We're going to take Troy. What is it? Troy University at Georgia State. Troy is getting 6.5 points. They fired Chip Lindsey, their head coach, who's been with them for about 3 years now. So we're just playing the narrative.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. They played this game last year, and it was a very close game, and Georgia State ended up winning 36-34. I think a similar play here, too. Well, the other thing that I like about an interim coach, especially when he's a defensive coordinator, you know that the play calling is sort of vanilla down to keep the game close, and getting 6.5 points, I think, is important. There are some things working against Troy. Let's be honest. They haven't been good against the spread this season. They're just 3-8. Georgia State, this is if they win this week, it'll be the most conference wins that they've ever had in school history, so they can pull that off. But this is a lot of points to lay in a game that generally has been close through the year. So nothing more than what you just discussed. Coaches being let go, teams show up. Troy's kids, probably want to send this thing off on a good note, but they can still lose this game by 5 and we win. So we'll take the 6.5 points with Troy. So Troy, Florida, Wyoming, and Utah State. Those are the college picks this week.
There you go. All right. So let's hit the pro games here. We're taking 3 this week. 2 dogs, 1 favorite. The favorite, I feel really good about the favorite, just in the sense I thought I liked it a little bit more when the line was 1. It was more or less a pick 'em, but let's start with the Thanksgiving game that we are taking, and I love this pick. I think the Detroit Lions against the Bears is the one game that I looked at and I said, this is the game that I want to take. I didn't like Dallas, Vegas, you know.
You got to lay
right?
7.5, right, in that one?
Yeah, 7.5 for that one, and you know, and then it was it's like 6.5 for the for the Bills against the Saints. Granted, the Saints don't have Alvin Kamara, but you know, Saints defense has been, you know, what it is. I mean, either one of those games could go either way. The Lions here,
Yeah.
I like and call me crazy, but you got Jared Goff who's going to come back and play. He's not great, but he's definitely better than Tim Boyle. DeAndre Swift has been a revelation. Every time I talk down about Swift, what does he do? He comes out and he crushes. And Chicago's defense here right now is, I mean, they're missing guys. You know, Akeem Hicks is questionable. Eddie Jackson's questionable. They lost Khalil Mack. They lost Danny Trevathan. And I don't know why everybody's flipped out about Andy Dalton. Well, he looked good last week in a game where he came in halfway and he threw a couple of, you know, long passes there. Andy Dalton is not a good quarterback. He's not. Lions have been competitive. They've been playing it close. Campbell's been leaning on the run a lot more here, which kind of slows the pace down of the game itself. The clock just keeps running. I like the Lions here. I think it's going to surprise a lot of people. I think they actually get their first win of the season this week.
Yeah, I do too. This is probably the Lions. From what I see, the rest of the season, you could pull up their schedule. I only see one other game on their schedule this year that they have a chance to win.
They play the Jets.
This is their best shot, I think, to win. They're at home. It's Thanksgiving. Lions historically are very good on Thanksgiving, but not in recent history. Let's be honest. They've been crushed in recent games, but they've been crushed by teams that are better than them. And I don't think the Bears are better than them. To me, I had this game as a pick 'em. Look, the pass that Andy Dalton threw last week for a touchdown, wasn't that like just directly to the side where Mooney was, and then he just ran it in? I mean, come on. Yeah, and the other part of this too, listen, I don't know if Nagy's getting fired after this game or not. I saw those reports, but this is kind of the opposite of the coaching fired narrative almost for me, Howard. It's like, are they even playing for this guy this week? You know, I think you have to ask yourself that question. This is going to be a slug it out type game, right down to the wire. What we're sort of hoping for in this one, honestly, is somebody to miss an extra point. So, the game goes down to a game-winning field goal and somebody wins by 2. But I'm with you here. I mean, this is sort of like the Dan Campbell game. It kind of feels like it. Like, it's their lone national television game. Everybody's watching it. This is their chance. I think that they're going to push hard to try and win this because the schedule is just so not favorable, and the Bears are just a complete disaster. By the way, neither team covered last week. So, kind of a theme, by the way, with Thanksgiving and not covering. How many of these 6 teams covered the spread last?
Lions covered last. Well, I mean, it was Cleveland. Cleveland was like a 10.5 point favorite.
Yes, they did cover that game. So, so we'll take the Lions here. It's the only one. You're right. It's the only one that I saw that kind of stuck out as a possibility here, because it is really hard to back the Saints right now. It's even harder to back Buffalo with the way that they're playing, so you're not really sure there. I mean, Dallas you would expect to bounce back, but that hook is an awful hook, Howard. That is a deadly... I mean, think about that. Dallas could be up 14 with, a minute left, and you still can't feel good about that. I don't want to be in that position.
I don't either. Well, that's fine. We'll leave that be. We'll just take the Lions. The other 2 games that we're looking at in the Golden Nugget, Falcons over the Jaguars. Again, it was 1 point all week long, and then all of a sudden, boom! Now it's 2. It's 2.5 here in the SuperContest, which in the gold. It's 2.5 in both actually. Yeah, it is 2.5. I don't like that it's 2.5, but I mean, I just
3.
At least it's not 3, and I mean, we just can't back the Jags. They're just not a good team. They're really not. Neither is Atlanta. But
I think it's much better than Jacksonville. I know what the results have been the last 2 weeks, but I think Atlanta's at least 20% better than what they've shown. I love taking a team that's lost 80-0 the last 2 weeks. So Yeah, and full 10 days off for them too. I think they're going to get it right. Look, Atlanta's going to win 6 games. They're going to lose 11. This will be one that they win. We're going to back the Falcons here. I think they're better
Back in the
than
Falcons. And then we're going to our good old favorites, our standby. On this Thanksgiving Eve, I am thankful for the Minnesota Vikings for bringing it down to the very end every single time. Give me the Vikings. Give me the 3 points. I don't care if they beat the 49ers or not. This one here, like I gotta have the Vikes. I gotta do it.
Yeah, this is
Vikings.
I mean, listen, I feel that way too. This was one of the fishy lines for me of the week. I was like, San Francisco's favored? Like, I guess. Like, they played well the last couple of weeks. But getting points with a team that's going to go right down to the wire, you got to do it. I'll tell you the other thing that's becoming interesting with Minnesota, their kicker is starting to make the field goals. I think they may finally have a guy that kicks field goals. Zimmer's being, like, super aggressive on plays all of a sudden. Where did this come from? And, 49ers are really hard to trust. They really are. So, again, we could lose by 1 and still win the game. I'm taking Minnesota with points the rest of the season. I mean, anytime I'm getting points, I'm taking them.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right. So that's for the Golden Nugget. We're taking all those 3 picks, and we're bringing them into the Super Contest. The lines are the same. Lions +3, Falcons -2.5, Vikings +3. And then, lo and behold, what are we doing? We're taking a couple of favorites here to round out our top 5. But I mean, listen, there's one dog that I looked at that I was like, the line is fair. You know what? I'll just say it's Miami against Carolina, right? If Cam Newton's the greatest thing since sliced bread and Christian McCaffrey's absolutely amazing, why is Carolina only a 2-point favorite over Miami, right? So, I mean, I get it. Miami's defense has been improving, but, again, that made it look fishy to me, but, no pun intended. I can't get behind the Dolphins on a fishy line only.
Very tough.
Not with Tua and that offense.
No, and look, let's be real. It's Wednesday. We're having to turn our picks early on in the week too. So, a hope and a prayer with some of this stuff. I mean, you kind of got to get a little bit lucky. And look, every week, it feels like every week in the NFL season, something has gone sideways going into Sunday recently. So we have to hope we're not on that side.
We do have to hope. And let's hope it has nothing to do with the Patriots. 6.5-point favorites over the Tennessee Titans. The worst 8-3 team that we've seen in the NFL. I mean, this to me... This is a fantastic defense for the Patriots. It's Bill Belichick scheming. It's Bill Belichick being like, oh, look, here we are again atop the division. They could actually, based on what they're doing right now, they could end up the number 1 seed in the AFC.
They could.
And it would sicken me to my stomach, but nevertheless, I'm going to take the Patriots over anything with Tennessee. Vrabel's, the disciple. Is he going to teach Bill a lesson? I don't think so.
Yeah, I think this is probably the 4th or 5th time we've taken New England, and we've done pretty well with taking them this season. See, the thing with laying points in a game like this, the one thing that you can say is that if we're going to do it, let's take the hottest team in the NFL that's just smashing everybody. And that's what they're doing. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think the Titans are very good. I don't think that we're basically selling low on Tennessee either. I think that they're just not a very good team, and New England's playing fantastic right now. And, they can run the ball at the end of the game, so if they're up a touchdown, you feel good about that too, because they can run with Harrison Stevenson as well. So there's just a lot to like with the way that New England is going. I'm sure that you've heard that there's a lot of controversy here in Florida about the sports betting, about the Seminole app that's up now. Mm-hmm. A few weeks ago, I bet $100. I don't even know if it's cool to talk about that. I guess it doesn't matter. I bet $100 on Bill Belichick to win Coach of the Year at 12-1. Yeah. So I'm hoping that app does not get shut down, because now it is 5-1, and I'm feeling pretty good about that. If New England wins this week, Bill Belichick's going to be favored to win NFL Coach of the Year if he's not already. I don't know how Kingsbury is favored to win Coach of the Year. I'm sorry. I think Belichick is thus far, and that's no bias whatsoever. So yeah, we'll take New England again. And by the way, we're probably going to just keep taking New England. I mean, I think that's probably what we got to do until they show anything otherwise. Why not ride the hot hand?
The line is 7 right now, so I'm happy with our 6.5 that we're laying. A little bonus.
Yeah, Tennessee just, I think for the 1 week or 2 weeks that they looked pretty good, it was sort of like just plug and play. But that's the only team in the NFL that loses a non-quarterback to an injury that you can clearly see they are not the same. And the Henry injury, they'll win their games, and Tennessee will win 10, and they'll get in. And if they get Henry back, they can make serious noise too. But no, it's that turns out to be the biggest running back injury that I've seen in the NFL in a long time, by the way.
Yeah. All right, last game. How about the Chargers on the road against Denver?
Easy.
See, that was my thought there too. I think I was talking to John and Pemba about this, and I was just like, it was either him or Adam Ronis, and I was like, listen, Chargers, 3 points or more favorite at home, bye-bye. No, thank you. I will never take them again. You get me on the road here against a team like Denver, vanilla offense. I'm not worried about the altitude because the Chargers, it's a divisional game there. I just think that, what we saw from Herbert and company last week can really beat up on Denver here. So I'm looking at the Chargers -2.5.
Yeah, Denver cannot keep up with the Chargers in this game. I don't see any scenario that happens. And listen, you're looking at the same two guys that we picked the Steelers in both contests last week against the Chargers, okay? And they almost won and they ended up covering. So what Howard is saying is true. Chargers is a home favorite, is a notoriously terrible bet, and you're winning less than 50% of the time. Chargers as a small favorite or a dog, definitely worth exploring. The Broncos' only benefit to this is coming off the bye, but I would say that since week 3 of the NFL season, how many teams have been worse than the Denver Broncos? Denver has 1 win, right? And it's against the Dallas, right? That crazy win. I mean, I think Denver is not as bad as Jacksonville. Denver is not as bad as the Giants, and they're probably not as bad as the Lions. But I got them close to those teams, man, right there.
Bottom 5 in the league, easily.
Bottom 5.
Bottom 5 easily. Yeah.
Bottom 5.
So there we go. So that's the Super Contest. 3 favorites, 2 dogs. It's not our usual MO, but the lines are super tight this week. It's very, very tough week, I think, for all of this. I like our picks. I do. I really like our picks.
We're gonna be good. Yeah, we're gonna be good. Yeah, listen, I don't mind. I think the one thing that we learned, especially with the Colts, that was our big pick last week. By the way, that was I think I said they would win the game outright on this. So I think taking favorites of like 7 to 10 points, if you just count the favorites this season, if there's 3 in a week, 1 is gonna cover, but 2 are not, and then you just like have to figure out which one will. Lessons should be learned for everybody. I mean, Tennessee laying 10, losing outright last week to Houston. Until something changes, you just can't do it. And this week, unfortunately, there were not a lot of big favorites, so you can't like just ride those points. So I feel good about it. We're not laying big numbers, and the only big number we're laying is New England amongst all the picks in the NFL, and it's only 6.5. So I'm okay with that.
All right. Well, there you go. That's it in a nutshell there. Best of luck to all of you out there. I hope you win all your bets. I hope you win all your fantasy games. I hope you win some money playing DFS. We got all of that for you over at Fantasy Alarm and DFS Alarm if you're playing all of those. Craig, happy Thanksgiving, man. Eat lots of food.
Same to you. Same to you. Looking forward to it. Few days off from my other gig, so got between now and Sunday to chill a little bit, and then we'll be right back here next week, and we'll have the final, I think it is the final week of college football games in the Golden Nugget, so it'll be championship week for us, and then we'll have the NFL, and then that's it, and then it's just Army, Navy, and the NFL the rest of the way.
All right, fantastic. Well, there it is, folks. So have a great holiday. Be smart, be safe, have fun. And Craig and I will be back next week on our regular Tuesday night. So for Craig Mish, big thanks to John and Pemba, by the way, for producing today. For Craig Mish, I'm Howard Bender. We'll catch you next time.